You are now tuned into the City Sultan podcast, where our purpose is cultivating leaders and our focus is spirituality, the divine masculine, and leadership. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the mindset of a spiritual revolutionary. I'm City Bliss.
I'm City Stone.
I am Blue Lotus, triple threes, emphasis on the threes, eternally.
This is King Ra. Bless, 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 love.
Mindset of a spiritual revolutionary.
City Rod, I only think it's only right that you lead this one off. You know what I mean? Since
Mindset of a spiritual revolutionary. So the first question, I really thought about what is a spiritual revolutionary. The topic came to mind because I was thinking about, the culture and the social political times that are happening in totality and the energy that has been that's continually moving and perpetuating itself throughout our subjective lives and throughout the objective life as well, and realizing that we are all um, we're all responsible for what happens within the collective consciousness. And I was reading this book called Power versus Force, and it talked about how whatever you do within yourself and however far you raise your own consciousness raises the collective consciousness across the entire earth. You know what I mean? And then even beyond that. And so it came to my mind, I definitely want to speak about a spiritual revolutionary. What does it mean to have this mindset? What does it mean to have this set of beliefs within your personal life? And so the first question that'll be asked is, what is a spiritual revolutionary for people who don't know? Right. Now, from my perception perspective, a spiritual revolutionary is a person who does not act from a consciousness of race suggestion and who does not act in consciousness of overt materialism, who understands that acting within the highest vibration of love creates a liberation from the ego, which creates a ripple effect throughout consciousness. Willing to acknowledge yourself as a soul entity in a corporal vessel, in a system not designed to foster this internal understanding, but designed to only foster a society from a highly rigid mechanistic view. That's my definition of what a spiritual revolutionist is, or spiritual revolutionary.
see, that's not even fair because you got a poetry book coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, how we supposed to beat that? How we supposed to? that was our point, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, I could say this much. When we talking about revolution specifically, you know what I mean? What is revolution? Well, I can't help but notice that the word evolution is in revolution. You know what I mean? So, and then the word the prefix re is in there, which is to do again. So somehow, some way, that the way that things evolved weren't necessarily harmonious with that of the revolutionary. So I feel like when you're dealing with a spiritual revolutionary, you're dealing with somebody who is changing something, causing a dramatic change within the way spirituality is perceived and by the human experience. So any possible change in the spirit realm is caused by a spiritual revolutionary. This can now we could say that a revolutionary is also a visionary, but those aren't the same words. But it would be very helpful for a spiritual revolutionary to be a visionary as well. It'd be very helpful to them, as City Ra had mentioned, to have certain skill sets and a certain mindset, so that the spiritual revolution trickles down to the physical level. You know what I mean? And to all the other levels that exist. So that's my definition of a spiritual revolutionary: someone who catalyzes change within the spirit realm.
And I would say,
I definitely. Go ahead, Bliss. Go ahead, Bliss. Do your thing. Do
thank
your
you,
thing.
City.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say a spiritual revolutionary, is a person who's living in his or her truth, like completely, and sharing their gifts. Because that brings about the change, as you said, City M. Because it's like we all have our uniqueness, and we're bringing our uniqueness into the world and living fully in our uniqueness, fully in our truth, doing what we feel is our purpose. Then that is what creates that change. And by default, it's a revolution. It's a change within the system. And I feel like, that requires a lot of faith. That's how it ties into the spirituality too, to do, be, and speak your truth, regardless of if it's deemed correct or if it's right or if it goes against the norms. Just living in that truth and having complete faith and moving in that purpose. I think that's what makes a spiritual revolutionary.
Yeah, yo, I'm loving all three of y'all different sense of perspectives and perceptions altogether. For me, I want to tie all that in, and that a spiritual revolutionary is one that is fully in tune and aware of not only what they see can be changed, like the potentiality of what can be changed in this earthly realm, but they also see what's needed in this earthly realm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So no matter what, let's say if they're practicing a particular religion or belief systems or spiritual set of practices per se, and they have this natural urge and calling. And let's say if they're even receiving visions about it, like they're lucid dreaming or they're just, let's say, at nighttime, like two times out the week, 2-3 times out the week, they just have this vision of them building something that is going to be monumental, that is going to be needed, that everyone is going to be able to benefit from. And furthermore, on a groundwork level, a spiritual revolutionary is someone that is in the trenches with the people. They are the people. They are a reflection of the people. And it's basically like Moses, leading the people. It's like the shepherd leading the sheep in a manner of speaking, and not to put it in that context per se, literally, but everyone is here to serve a particular purpose and to play a particular role in design. So some are here to initiate that lead due to their calling. So I feel a spiritual revolutionary is someone that fully inner under overstands what is needed for the collective and is constantly vigorously working, not only individually but also collectively with those that share the same goals, vision, and dream of what they want to materialize as a collective.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%, brother. 1,000%, City.
Yo,
Say, you got another question, City Rock? Got another question for us?
That face right now.
You on mute. You on mute, brother.
it's because I don't know. I mean, it said the host muted me, so I was like, "What?" I was trying to play it off. I was like, "I'm muted."
Nice job.
Oh, my bad. Smooth move. It's all good. My bad. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. No.
Put you on punishment. Timeouts.
He's like, yours is too fire, bro. Now we got.
He just kept smiling.
Give you a light.
Right.
Wow, beautiful. I just want to say thank you for all of your perception and perspectives. That was definitely beautiful. Especially You know what? I love that with City M, when City M said that it's also a spiritual revolutionary, also changes the perception of what a spiritual revolutionary even is. So even in terms of a spiritual revolutionary, if he is an artist, you know what I mean? It's not a rigid mechanical position or role. It's nothing. A spiritual revolutionary can come in different shapes and sizes, positions, ages. It's not a set. There's no set view or of a spiritual revolutionary, and then you can, and there are different degrees of what
Thank you.
a spiritual revolutionary of to this degree. You know what I mean, of consciousness, but it's not a set position at all, because spirituality is not a set position. It's a very malleable and flowing, vibrational, energetic perspective of self. So I definitely appreciate everybody's perception and perspective, man. Thank you for that. Glad
And I appreciated that you said different levels too, because you know, there's an internal revolution that has to happen as well as the external. So it's not just an external thing. If you're causing changes within the spirit realm, you know, you have to do it within your own self first to actually be conscious of what you're doing externally.
you. I think, and naturally, it lends itself when you work on yourself internally, it naturally manifests into the external. I mean, before you have evolution, you need to have involution, because to
Mm,
evolve, you need to involve. There is
I
a,
like that.
you know, it's just it. I think about the artist who is involved in his work and fully involved in what he's doing, and that involution within his work creates the evolution of whatever masterpiece that he's creating, and then the masterpiece that he actually created is actually the masterpiece that he himself is. You
Right.
know, that whatever he created
Mm,
on the external is just an actualization of what the processes and stages that he had to go through as he was going through and making that piece of artwork. There are different challenges that were going on. He had to get the money, he had to find the time, he had to get the art materials. You know, there were things going on within his personal life with his wife and his kids, and you know, he's about to get put out the studio where he's even creating the artwork. And so by the time he even finishes the project, there are a lot of challenges that he actually had to overcome until that was actualized. So all that internal work is actually externalized, even if you don't even quote unquote try to. You know what I mean? It has to. So I definitely I love that you say, man, levels, man, new levels, new devils. You already know. Um, and, the second question is, why do you feel there's a need for a spiritual revolutionary?
Well, because the only thing that's constant is change, you know, and revolutionaries are the people who catalyze change. So I think it's a natural part of the nature's order. You know, without change, nothing would grow. Because
Mm,
when something grows, it's not the same thing that it was before. It changes. You know, it expands. Whether it expands one molecule, it's not the same thing. By the universe's laws, it's not the same thing. So it's necessary for life to go on. It's necessary for motion, you know, to even exist. You know, the change is
yo,
necessary.
uh, my fault. I just want to just chime in and conjoin and elaborate with what you just said. You know, as far as universe and change being constant. You know, and connecting that with the question, I feel that with why the spiritual revolutionary is needed is to fight the injustices that is being done onto the people, whether no matter the scenario or setting, or let's say if it's at the workplace, or let's say if it's political, you know, like they see that there's a flaw in whatever system or anything that they're a part of and they want to correct it. So I feel like that definitely ties in to what you were saying, City M,
Yes, and
and dealing with the polarities as well.
yes, because the universe seems to just like it seems to the human eye to mess itself up and then fix itself. Like the question gets like unbalanced and then balanced and then unbalanced and then unbalanced. The equation just keeps on But that's what causes motion, because if it was just all one way, then there'll be no movement. So it has to put itself out of the loop to come back home. You know, I remember one time somebody they was telling me about this party that they got. And it was like, I said, yo, what's that party like? They said, oh, well, you know, the parties, you get caught in the loop and then you always end up back in the karaoke room. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, I don't want to go there. I was like, wait, hold on, what you say? He said, yeah, man, the party, you just go around in a loop. You know what I'm saying? You go to loop-de-loop, you come back, and you always end up in the karaoke room. And I was like, yo, what? I said, that party sound crazy. I said, because I already know, because when you're somebody who's a spiritual traveler, getting caught up in the loop, you know what I mean? You'll be all over the place, not even know where you are, trying to get back to, you know what I mean? Like, hold on, let me center myself, let me ground myself. And that's the game that the universe plays. So it'll take it. In other words, he's saying in that party, you'll get into chaos and then come back, and then go out into chaos and come back, always end up in the same place. So I think that's the nature of the universe, to go out, to expand, only to contract. You know, and I think that the people who are the spiritual evolutionaries are the actual pawns in the chess game of God, doing so, doing the work.
Exactly. It's like you said, change, you know, it's the one thing that is inevitable. And I feel like the spiritual revolutionary is important to, I say this, provide a different, or not even different, but a greater alternative than the reality that we've been subjected to for thousands of years now, you know. And like there's a change that we're all collectively going through. We've seen the state of the world currently. We see the changes. A lot of people see the changes, and a lot of people are not really sure exactly what's going on, you know. And I think as a spiritual revolutionary, it's important to guide in a sense of bringing to their awareness that, you know, there's something different other than what's been proposed all along, you know, and something that's better for you. You know, I feel like as a spiritual revolutionary, one should always have their vision on uplifting and kind of guiding humanity, and really just being that centerpiece that, you know, humanity could always rely on and be like, you know what, I see something different this way. That way, I've been going that way for a long time. It doesn't feel right anymore. This change is happening. Things are feeling different. What is this new way? Or not even new, but just, yeah, new, different, a better feeling way.
I
But
I
ultimately, the goal of just, you know, uplifting.
I respectfully disagree.
That's okay.
And I respectfully disagree, because
Mm-hmm.
at one point, not the whole thing, but just one
Mm-hmm.
point where you said that, you know, it should be focused on upliftment, and maybe that
Mm-hmm.
maybe upliftment may be subjective, you know,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who's experiencing it. So that'll work that way. But
Feel like,
if you look at the time, like in the old stories, in the biblical stories, and of, you know, you have God and you have the devil, and the devil is like, listen, I don't like how y'all rocking up here. I don't like how y'all doing it. I'm gonna take my people and we going over there. You know what I mean? And we're gonna do
mm-hmm.
our thing over there. Now, was he not a revolutionary as well? As a spirit, he was a spirit that had the spirit of revolution and changing the status quo. Now, I think that even when dealing with the spiritual revolution, it's not necessarily good or bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just whatever's going to bring dramatic change. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
do agree with you in the sense of that change must come. But
Yeah.
however, I think that it's a very subjective thing, whether when
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about upliftment, or, you know, or not.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
Real quick, I just want to chime in. Yo, City I love how you played low key devil's advocate, but still, like, no, because you're seeing the unseen realm. You know, the realm that people don't see, the realm that gets overlooked, the what if you will. So I appreciate you for bringing that to light and still conjoining it with what City Bliss said. I just wanted to vocalize that.
Mashallah.
And I
That's
appreciate
it.
that as well.
Mashallah. I
Yeah.
appreciate
So
you.
I'm thinking about a need for a spiritual revolutionary. I feel like there's a need because we're in a system now that is now there is a cultural and societal drama taking place. There's even a digital revolution that we're experiencing now that has a tendency to inflate egos, you know. And so coming from a place of and even there's even an imbalance between the masculine and feminine. So a spiritual revolutionary is looking at it from the perspective of the unseen and in the energetic and the unconscious. And so, and that is the way that is the person or the, I love what City Bliss said. He said the God or the guide that is going to reenact change or is going to, when you go from one point and then you come back around to the next point, you're revolving. You know what I mean? You're literally, how they say, you revolve around the sun. You are revolving. You are literally going in a loop. You are literally circulating to come back to the same point. But then all the stages that you went through, when you come back to the same point, you're not that same person. You're not that same entity. And so it's really someone who is seeking to enact a sense of balance. I feel like, for example, materialism, let's say a spiritual revolutionary is a entrepreneur, and from a spiritualist, a purely like, zen down, enlightened, like, materialism is like bad, you know what I mean? And I feel like materialism isn't bad if you come from the perception and perspective of, I gain my materials from giving service. So I'm being compensated for my service. And so I gained materials. And then those materials also came from an abundance mindset, not a poverty mindset.
Yeah.
And so from that perception and perspective, whatever materials that you have you've created that balance. You know what I mean? As even the degree of how you view materials and how you see just how you see the universe, you know what I mean? And then channeling that and giving that to others, giving that same perception and perspective to others. And it's really being that example. What I actually wrote is, there is a yearning toward a balance, to not see materialism as unhealthy, but an expression of mental abundance, an expression of compensation for service, the result of a progressive realization of a worthy ideal, a deeper philosophical meaning of life, an inner awareness of actualized childhood dramas, insecurity, fear, and greed that is at the core of the manifestations of suffering. And what I mean by that is, like I said earlier, realizing that a lot of the games that people play come from childhood and inner dramas. People have certain patterns that they perpetuate, and you having knowledge of that, you can now heal that, and you can now act against that by healing the childhood traumas and unconscious behaviors and patterns that you play in your own life. You know what I mean? So it's a revolutionary, you are revolutionizing against your own patterns and your own self, it actualizing in your behaviors, and then you learning how you can create that balance and that healing within society.
I like that. Yo, real quick, I just wanted to further elaborate, King Rod, when you was discussing the spiritual revolutionary as, let's say, a designer. That's what was coming to mind. So, but when you mention materials, I'm thinking like, okay, now let's say a spiritual revolutionary is a designer, right? Now they can help the ecosystem by making biodegradable clothing or vegan clothing or cruelty-free clothing. You get what I'm saying? That came to mind. I just wanted to further chime in and add on to that one.
Yes.
And that plays into the, as City M said, or I believe it was City Rod, or the levels, it's different degrees of what a spiritual revolutionary is. It's not necessarily someone who's just going out and bang, bang, it can be in very subtle ways, and which is very, 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 very important. So yeah, I think it's beautiful.
You know what I mean? Spiritual revolutionary can be that person that just radiates positivity at all times. Yes. And he's not guiding anybody, he's not speaking to anybody, just in his own subjective life. He's just finding the silver lining in every situation. and he is becoming he is a spiritual revolutionary. And even if he doesn't call himself that, because he is raising his level of consciousness and is raising the collective consciousness, whether or not he's aware of it or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a subtle level of being a spiritual revolutionary. And that actually leads to the next question. What was the catalyst for you becoming a spiritual revolutionary? And this is a very subjective question with a very subjective answer, but it's interesting because we are all a spiritual revolutionary at different levels. And so how you came into being a spiritual revolutionary will actually be will show why you were at the certain level that you were operating at now.
Poverty. For me.
What was it for you, bro?
Poverty. not having not feeling like I had enough. You know, and even though I had my rational conscious mind, even though I still had my arms and legs and I had clothes, I had a place to stay. Part of the state of mind that I was operating at just kept on bringing me pain. It kept on bringing me the opposite experience of that which I willed. So therefore, I knew that a change had to be made. Now, some people, when they mention spirituality, they separate the spirit and the mind. For me, the way I was taught, spirit and the mind vibrates at a spiritual plane because it's vibrating faster than solid, liquid, and gas. You know what I mean? And it's at a frequency that is beyond form, and that's all spirituality is: conscious things that are moving at a frequency beyond form. Just because it's spiritual doesn't mean it's not detectable. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they detect ghosts all the time, you know what I mean, with frequency monitors. But anyway, so for me, it had to be a mental change or a spiritual change internally before I could actually see my new experience of wealth where I am now. So I'm just very grateful to that experience. But yeah, for me, it came from poverty, not only physically not having, but mentally thinking that I didn't have.
And that's the balance, isn't it? Going from that poverty and into finishing with the wealth mindset and the abundance that you do have now. You know, I think that's beautiful. For me, man, it was rebelling. You know, it was like, yo, I'm tired of all this. Yo, I'm tired of all this shit. Really, like, yo, I was tired of the water, tired of the food, man, tired of the chemtrails, and you know, it's funny, like, so my conscious spiritual journey, and I say conscious because, you know, we're all on spiritual journeys, whether we're aware of it or not. You know, and this happened like towards the end of 2015, but I'd say it really took a bigger leap in 2017, like the beginning of 2017. Like, I had just come out of a 4-year relationship, so I had a lot more time and freedom to really dive deeper into myself, man. And like, yeah, I spent about a month and a half in solitude, just really diving in, you know. And I think I only went outside I went outside just to go to Central Park, bro. That was it. I went outside to I stocked up on groceries. I went outside to go to Central Park, and that was it. And during that time, it was beautiful because you know, I was connected with nature more, finding like a resonance and the importance in that. And along with that, you know, I was like just rebelling. I was like, yo, I'm tired of this, tired of that, tired of that. And like I came across some videos, man, like of Costa Rica. Like, that's when I tapped into Nature Boy, or as he was going by at the time. I think now it's like Avatar or something.
He's at
Chief.
like Babaji or something.
He is like Baba, yeah, right. He be changing it, but you know,
like Master.
Master Chief. He had a couple, yeah.
No free marketing. Keep going.
Yeah, right. But I tapped into the brother, man, and you know, yo, I feel like, what was it? About a month, maybe 2 months later, a couple months later, I was out there, and I was just like, you know, I'm done with this system. Like, you know, America, I had no intention of coming back. Things didn't play out exactly how I felt. Like, you know, it was just a rebellious mindset that I had. I was like, I'm out. You know, I didn't really plan anything. But I feel like, you know, that journey led me to balance. You know what I mean? Like, knowing that, okay, there's a certain way that I can rebel. I can do it from a more conscious state and still remain balanced and navigate through the system while being true to myself, staying centered in my spirituality. And yeah, so that leap, man, that journey has really changed the way I navigate. And then earlier this year, is when I really started using my voice more, sharing my gifts, sharing my poetry, and like started doing open mics and just different events, and even after the lockdown situation, just continuing to do that online, extending myself in that way. And here we are now. It's like it's
You
just
own your own
beautiful.
affirmation service now.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Making blissformations. So it's beautiful, bro. Like I'm really thankful for that time. The times that are dark, because this comes right back to balance again. And the change. It's like the poverty leading to abundance, the darkness leading to light. It's once one exists, the other is there already. It's just a matter of allowing it to be. And I'm thankful that we have all allowed ourselves to be, and for this to be.
I can't help but kind of add something really quick, because after hearing City Bliss do that extensive but enjoyable explanation of, because that kind of sounded like his spiritual awakening right there. Like, that sounded like, because if you put
no,
it
that's
like
not the
that,
catalyst to my revolution. That was the catalyst to me
yeah,
even
that
coming
sounded
into
like, man, I woke up a little bit off that one, man. Like, hey, listen, but I do have to add that there was always a curiosity as well that could not be fed in any way. Like, it could not, like, it's still not being fed. Like, I get an abundance of knowledge. And the other day when I spoke to a brother of mine, he's a wonderful health coach. Him, I definitely would market. Stay Mad Coach. He has like the only black sea
Black
moss
sea
I've ever
moss.
seen in my life. He's got black sea moss that he sells, to a lot of people, celebrities, a lot of folk. But he said that he's like a sponge. He said every time he gets information, he said he's got to wring out the sponge. You know what I mean? And then the sponge just keeps on getting filled, and he's got to wring it out. So, never satisfied in a sense, always grateful, but and always content, but never satisfied in terms of doing the work. That was always
facts,
part of me.
facts, bro. Dissatisfaction drives progress. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
it's amazing. One of my favorite things that he said in that live was he said, I pour into my health account so that my wealth account grows.
Yes.
That was
Who,
very.
who said that?
Stay Mad Coach in the same live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was tapped in. I was,
I like
I
that.
see.
That's food for thought right there, because your health is wealth and your wealth is health, one and the same. It's a lot of like polarity, dualistic point of views that's just being revealed throughout this conversation, and I'm loving it.
It's
It's
the
a lot of,
balance, baby.
yeah, exactly. Everything is needed, and even with us being, where we're at right now with the catalysts, whichever that could be, for our own individual realities that made us, seek this journey, and like we discussed previously, there's various degrees to this journey, but I just wanted to quickly give my little point of view for question number two. But what made me want to basically like change and be a spiritual revolutionary is I always wanted to seek more. I was always hungry for more wisdom, more knowledge. Like I said, my older brother, he's the one that initiated me on my path in this lifetime. And I always knew that there was something more to this life than, and no disrespect to people that, subscribe to certain religious belief systems, but I knew there was something more than Christianity, you know, and my soul was just telling me, yo, just keep diving, keep seeking, keep searching, keep searching, keep searching. And I came across the 5%ers. I came across Catholic, Roman Catholic, um Hebrew Israelites, and then once I came across Buddhism, that was it. It just stuck with me. It was like It's like, let's say you on the bus, and look at, ironically enough, I'm speaking, and it comes to your stop. Let's say you're trying to navigate, like, yo, where's my stop at? Is this my stop? Is this my stop? And it's like, nah, this is my stop.
Mm,
Like, you feel it, like, nah, I belong here.
I
This
feel
is
you,
where
man.
this is not only where I belong, but this is where I'm at, and this is what I am. This is what I feel. I embody this vibration that is reflecting me, that is representing me, is me. So it's like, once you have that affinity, once you have that certainty, like, yo, this is me, that's it. You just gotta go for it. That's what made me become a spiritual revolutionist. I always wanted to seek more freedom. I'm always hungry for more knowledge, because you can never stop learning. Never. Like I said, change is constant. So there's always going to be newfound information to learn on a higher and lower octave level.
Right.
I love that. I love that. For me, my catalyst for becoming a spiritual revolutionary was my parents. You know, my mother was a 5%er. My dad was a Hebrew Israelite. My mom was she was studying Yoruba at the time. My dad was a Lion of Judah. And so I grew up kind of in this undertone of spirituality. I've always been a dancer my entire life. So I could kind of feel that there was, when I was dancing, I felt like I was accessing an energy that wasn't me. So it gave me an idea that there was some unseen energy out there that I was able to be a conduit for. It was only later that I learned that was actually spirit. That was actually spiritual energy that I was tapping into. But I could always feel it intuitively. So I wanted to know what that was rationally. I read Your Spiritual Being Having a Human Experience by Bob Frissell in, I believe, 2015. After that,
Yes.
I read The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield.
Mhm.
And then the book after that was The Ancient Secret of Flower of Life by Valo Melchizedek.
Yes.
These three books led to me wanting to become a spiritual revolutionary, because I felt like they were more, actually, and also A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Mm.
Tule. These books led to me knowing that there need to be people out there who was aware that there was an unseen, that there was energy, that there was a quantum field that we all have access to through our thoughts. Shout out to Greg Braden for his book, The Divine Matrix, that actually talks about that quantum field and gave me a deep understanding of how the interconnectivity of our thoughts, of our energy, and our behaviors, and how what we do reflects itself not only through our lives, but reflects itself throughout the collective consciousness. So I wanted to become a spiritual. The first stage and level that I started at was just an understanding and awareness of the science of manifestation, and the science of energy, and the science of how thoughts actually, and how observation itself was able to change reality at a quantum level, and at a quantum particle level. That was really what started my journey, was that level, just the scientific, rational, logical level, and knowing that there needs to be people who knew that. I wanted to be somebody who knew that knowledge and was finding out ways to make my experience mirror that understanding. That's really what my catalyst for becoming spiritual revolutionary was.
Powerful.
I think people kind of know that they are what they are too, like inside, like, because inside you want more, and this is not. There's no disrespect to anybody who doesn't question more, because some people are okay with the everyday, the way that the system is. They're just okay with it. They don't really ask any questions. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. You know what I mean? It's never been me. Like, all respect to those who do, but I really don't even think they'll be tuned to this channel if they would, if that's what they was into. But if you do just so happen to fall upon this podcast, well, welcome.
Yeah, welcome,
And
welcome.
we invite you.
And remember, there's no such thing as accidents or mistakes. So if one does fall, or not, I don't say fall, excuse me, if one does tune in to this frequency by accident, it was meant for them to tune in. No accident. A part of their journey, if you ask me.
And I appreciate someone who doesn't, quote unquote, have that perception and perspective where they don't want more, they don't ask questions, they're okay with being at the level that they are, because I know that they're not them. Their reflection lets me know that I am not them. So I appreciate they need to exist for me to exist.
That's right.
That contrast.
They need to be subjectively within this reality so I can objectively experience my own self and my own consciousness. So there's no judgment there at all. Thank you.
Exactly.
Right, because as soon as you see and are aware of what you don't want, you automatically know, like, okay, I know what I want. You know, see the opposite of, you know, the polarities.
And you could be making a mistake thinking that just because you're a spiritual revolutionary that they supposed to be, like what works for you is supposed to work for them, and maybe it doesn't necessarily work for them. Maybe that's not their program here. You know, maybe they're just supposed to live as a regular person. You know what I mean? Doing regular things. You know what I mean? Whatever that may mean.
In this lifetime, yeah, everyone, you know, is on their own unique journey. You know,
I can't do it though. I'm sorry, I can't.
I
try to hold that one.
I feel you.
City I definitely want to further elaborate on that because that hit home with me, because with me, I always look for the highest good and potentiality in every individual. So if I see someone has a particular talent or has a particular potential, I'll do my absolute best in order to not only bring it to their awareness, but aid them on their journey. But at the same time, you could lead the horse to water, but it's up to the horse to drink.
That's it.
You feel me? So saying that to say, it's like, you know, some people, you know, you just meet them halfway. Yeah. You know, if they're content in where they're at in their current human experience, you know, don't try to pull teeth. Don't try to force it. Just let them be, you know, because maybe next year, that's when, you know, they're supposed to have their spiritual breakthrough and become what they're really supposed to become. You know, everything is a process and everyone is evolving at their own rate and velocity. So I just wanted to just further elaborate on that because that definitely hit home for me.
You see that part. That part is gonna be for the commercial trailer right there. See what you just said, City Blue. that's gonna be on the trailer right there, man.
I appreciate that. Well, this is unified, Fantastic Four, synergistic force that we got going right here.
Yes.
Definitely.
The four corners, the four horsemen, baby.
That's right.
I definitely concur. You know what I mean? And I vote, you know, City M. I feel like you read Richards. I'm gonna be Johnny Storm. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm raw naturally. So flame on. You feel what I'm saying?
I was gonna say that. I already was gonna say. I'm like, yeah, I already know who Flame On is. I was like, I don't even gotta think about it.
For real.
Yo, so that leads us to the fourth question, brothers. What system are you revolutionizing against?
Oh. I'm revolutionary.
Yeah. Listen. All right. Don't blow their whole spot. I say blow a quarter of their spot up. Don't blow their whole spot. So because collectively, if you do a quarter, we can all do a quarter. So that'll be you know what I mean?
Listen. I can't say anybody externally, you feel me? I can't even begin to, because it's like I know I'm manifesting this whole thing. You know what I mean? I know that this reality is going on inside of me, just like it's going on inside of everybody who's viewing and watching this simultaneously, because we all the same thing.
Right.
So I think that, and sharing a collective dream. So if I'm revolutionizing against anything, it's in the corrupt systems that I've allowed myself to manifest in this world.
Like you said,
that's gonna be for that other
involution.
That's good.
I feel you. For me, to put it simply, man, it's just the system of oppression. And conformity, like that right there. Oppression and conformity.
Thank you.
That's
it. I love what you just said, King Bless. I am revolutionizing against the system of conformity.
Yes.
Period, point blank. I am revolutionizing against the imbalance. I am revolutionizing because I know that there can never be a stagnancy. There has to be a revolving. Just like I know that the generation below me will also be revolutionaries who will revolutionize the system that I create during my revolution because they need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's called, if you ever read, shout out to Robert Greene. If you ever read The Laws of Human Nature, there's a chapter called The Law of Generational Myopia, which actually articulates this same idea that every generation needs to revolutionize against the last generation. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to go deep into that, but I'm just going to say that when us as revolutionaries, we become the leaders, we set the ideas, we set the new principles, we revolutionize against the leaders that are above us, and we create a new standard. Then the generation below us, they come up with the aggressive, I don't like this is all wrong, this is not the system where we live in, because they're coming from a whole new perspective of where the time and social political times and cultural times of where they live in, so they need to create a new system. They need to revolutionize against us. But to us, it would seem like disrespect, and you know what I mean. But they're also it's a continual revolution. It's a continual circulating. So that's the system. King Blue, would you like to speak on what system are you revolutionizing against?
Yeah, yo, I'm just revolutionizing against the system that was against the have-notters. Because I feel like I fall underneath the category of the have-notters just by way of, like, I see the struggles in the hood. I was, in a sense, a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when there's something that can be corrected and it needs to be corrected, lead by example. And it's just the injustices in the streets with dealing with people, even people of color. You know what I'm saying? But I don't even want to open up them can of worms. But just injustices amongst humanity.
Yes.
That's it. Injustices against humanity. Anything that is unjust, anything, especially if it's morally incorrect as well.
Yes.
That definitely has to be readjusted and reviewed, if you will, reevaluated.
Reevaluated. I love that
Oh,
word you use. The system needs to be reevaluated. The values need to be reviewed. Jesus,
Facts.
thank you.
Correct.
la ilaha
Correct.
illallah.
Real
Man,
talk.
but
Real talk.
Constantly.
when I say, and it's just like I want to say Jesus Christ, but when I say Christ, I don't mean Christ. I mean Christ as in Ka rest. Spirit is Ka and rest is rise. Ka rest.
Oh, dropping them gems.
Ka rest. So, bro, thank you for that. Wait, so that leads into the next question. What is a mindset of a spiritual revolutionary? What is your mindset?
Integrating different modalities. I feel as a spiritual revolutionary or revolutionist, you have to be open to what already exists and use those in a way that is going to help you to create something new. It's like putting everything, all those ingredients in one pot, creating something new that can be fed, for others to eat from and be nourished off of that, nourish the spirit. So I feel like integrating and also non-judgment, which I feel like is, the same, being open-minded.
That's a big fact on that one.
It's because you understand that the system of injustice is created by the emotions of fear, of greed, of insecurity. So that, okay, if I'm judging someone, there has to be an insecurity within myself. So
Right.
that that's the reason why I'm not judging someone, because I'm perpetuating. If I judge someone, I'm perpetuating a system of inequality. Because if I judge someone, I kind of feel somewhere within myself that I'm superior to them. So that is what makes the inequality, because you are unequal within yourself when you judge someone. You know what I mean? So you're perpetuating that system.
Right.
Can I chime in? There was a quote that I had wrote, and this kind of like brings both of the sentences together. I mean, both of the questions together. The last one and this one. I wrote this on Twitter. I wrote, I'm not anti-war. I'm pro-peace. I'm
Mm.
not anti-prejudice. I'm pro-equality. I'm not anti-hate. I'm pro-love, because peace cancels out war. By its very nature, equality cancels out prejudice, and love cancels out hate. Therefore, I don't give any energy to the things that I don't want, only the things that I do.
Mm.
So,
It makes sense. Out of sight, out of mind. Oh, go ahead. My fault.
yeah, no, of course. They like there's so even like when it came to that question of like what am I against? What am I revolutionizing against? I'm only revolutionizing for the cause, for what my cause is. And if what could be perceived as the opposite of my cause comes in, like I said before, to be annihilated in my cause,
Mm.
because it will completely become obliterated in the oneness that I am, like and what I'm putting out. So it'll have to submit. So I think the mindset of a spiritual leader or a revolutionary is someone who is consistently, constantly in their mind. I could say for me personally is trying to stay in God consciousness constantly.
Yeah.
Trying to remember the oneness constantly, and then changing it with your physical body, with your hands and the works that you do out into the world.
Mm.
You know, being the walking manifestation of it. You're constantly trying to be in tune with God's self, you know, with that version that's in tune with all. And I think it trickles down in your actions and it trickles down to the rest of the world. So just try to find new ways to connect. Always trying to find new ways to connect, whatever it takes. And anywhere that they see this connection, that just gives us more work to connect. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so that it's a never-ending journey. But I know all the time. I mean, I always peep what they doing, but I never worry about what they doing on the other side. Like I'm not even worried about what you're doing. I see what you're doing, but I
You know
gotta
what you're
focus
doing.
on me. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? You about to know what I'm doing. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Because we have to stay focused at the goal. You know, while keeping our eyes peeled to stay focused on the goal, and they'll follow suit. That's just how I feel. You know, in my mindset, for sure.
What about you, King Blue Lotus? How do you feel? How do you feel? What is your mindset? What is your mindset?
Well, my mindset is revelation, clarity, and transparency as far as being a spiritual revolutionary. And seeing the bullshit, seeing the lies and the low vibration of what's going on in, well, I guess I can speak on my personal reality on my behalf, but once again, like I said, once you see something needs to be adjusted or corrected, that's I feel your duty, especially once you feel the calling to even embark on whatever journey you feel is your calling. You feel like, yo, this is my purpose, this is why I'm here. I know I'm supposed to correct this and I'm gonna do it by any means necessary. So also having that way of thinking of longevity and consistency as well, and knowing, yo, listen, this is a never ending journey, and especially speaking spiritually and then earthly too, with whatever the spiritual revolutionary is seeking to acquire and achieve while they're here in their lifetime. So in a sense, they could also create, like, as a segue, short-term and long-term goals as far as what they're seeking to materialize, like the change that they want to have.
Oh man, I love
Uh,
that you put it that way, City Blue, because honestly, like you put it very practical. You know,
Give thanks.
I don't know.
Give thanks.
Today, I'm very much like my physical body's here, but I'm very much in the ethers. Like
Mm-hmm.
especially after that wonderful gathering we had yesterday.
Yeah, that's a big fact.
Yeah, it's always good to recharge, especially with other spiritual revolutionaries. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Who are making changes in their own communities. You know what I mean? Because when you chop it up, you be like, "What are you doing over there?" And they're like, "Oh, we doing this. Oh, you doing it like that? Okay." You know what I mean? All right, so now I can implement that into my system to make my
exactly.
Correct.
system better. You know?
Correct.
I
And,
like
and
that. That
uh,
mindset shows that a mindset of a spiritual revolutionary is one of collaboration. You know,
and
definitely a collaboration of looking at the collective, of looking at yourself internally and scrutinizing your own patterns, your own.
Mm,
I mean, because there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers and depths to self that you definitely need to uncover. We're all um, products of some type of societal program. You know what I mean? In terms of the food that we eat, in terms of so in the next question, segueing into that, what would you tell someone who wants to be a spiritual revolutionary?
mm.
I think you're born that way. Honestly, like
word,
I think you're
word.
born
I love
that
that you
way.
said that. You're born that way.
And I think that honestly, like it's something that's in your bones. Now, if you want to be a revolutionary, practically though, as I've been learning from City Blue over here, then I think that you want to constantly, in Islam, there's this thing called marifa and mushahada, right?
Mm,
Marifa is contemplation of the divine, right? Of divinity, of source, of Allah,
mm,
constantly thinking about it. So, and then you have mushahada, which is a state of revelation. So, and I think we spoke about this before, City Rod too, is that your job is to keep yourself either in a state of contemplation of the divine, whether that's studying, whether that's talking about it, whether that's being around people who remind you of it. You either in a contemplating state, or if you're not in that state, you're getting revealed something new. That's the goal. So either you get in contemplation or revelation. Stay in those two states. Revelation, you can't really handle it. I mean, you can't really control it. It's going to happen. So contemplate until you get your next revelation.
Mm,
Keep contemplating until you get your next revelation. Keep studying about it, thinking about it, acting like it, and everything. So I think
mm,
I would tell them to continue studying, continue looking. Like just today, somebody hit me up like, "Yo, I'm waking up right now." Like, I didn't like. So a friend hit me up. She was like, "Yo, I'm waking up right now." Like I like, and I was like, "Whoa." She said, "I don't even know what spirituality is. I don't know where to start, but you know what I'm saying? I'm having dreams and like, what's going on?" Like I just got activated in my body. And I told her, I said, all right, well, if we're going to start, I said, here's some universal laws. Here's the 12 universal laws, oneness, vibration, all of these things. And I said, so I gave her the conscious side. I gave her the part of study, and then I gave her some other information on experience. What would it
mm.
take to relinquish to the experience?
Right.
So I said, from there, don't listen to anybody who just comes and says anything about spirituality just because some people, just because they use spiritual language and they go Ashe, Hotep, or like they come to you with like, oh, the sacred divine radiance of whatever. Just because they speak the language doesn't necessarily mean that they're of high spiritual caliber, or that there's there to be somebody that's to lead you along the way. Because
Right.
just like language is one thing, but practice is another. So I think that we should definitely like constantly just do our research and go with what flows with us, what we feel inside. And that's the last thing I told her. I said, listen, whatever you feel resonates with you, not what people tell you should resonate with you, but what resonates with you. That's when you'll be different, because you got your own specific code in you. You got your own specific programming.
Mm, yeah, I fully agree with that. And I would say, first and foremost, just be unapologetically you. I think in that, it's like you said, City Emerald, it's like you're naturally, everyone is, a spiritual revolutionary, has the capacity to be. And I feel like just being unapologetically you really heightens that, because you're automatically creating change. because you are unique. There's no one like you. There's no one that has the purpose you has, that has the gifts you have to share with the world. So be unapologetically you, and also cultivate yourself. Like you said, like constantly learn and improve. And you know, I think the intention of learning something new constantly and improving upon yourself is like a really great thing to do. Like if it's learn something new a day or a couple days out of the week, like just make sure that you learned at least something new for that week, and just continue to teach yourself, because there's school outside of school, life is school, so continue to teach yourself, and also be willing to learn from others who are ahead of you, that have been where you want to be, not for the sake of being like them, but just using what they've been through to assist you in your journey, your unique journey. And I feel like that, yeah, that pretty much for me sums it up for anyone who wants to be a spiritual revolutionary, practically.
City Bliss. Now, one question really quick, because
Hmm.
somebody who just might, like, who started on a spiritual journey, who knows? The person I just mentioned might be watching this right now, or somebody, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, if somebody said, if you said be unapologetically you, right?
Mhm.
What if somebody doesn't know what that is yet? Like what? And somebody, and I just want to put like a small, like little, like a quick answer. Like if somebody doesn't know what that is, like what you are, because I think we all on the journey of self-discovery. How could you tell them to follow themselves exactly? What would you mean when you say be unapologetically you?
I love that you asked that. I would say we all know what makes us different. I feel like we all feel that inside, like there's something that's burning to just come to light and to shine. So not being afraid of showing that, you know, or moving in a way that's like worried about how others are gonna feel about it. Just what that is, that thing that, that lights you, that is your spark, shine that. Because it's there. It's there. It's there. And we just be with yourself. Don't be afraid to be with yourself in order to become aware of that spark if you're not already. That's what I would say.
Word. Yo, I definitely want to elaborate on that further and say as far as spending time in solitude with self, that also can build one's self-confidence
Mm.
and you get to know thyself more. And once you're able to familiarize yourself with self, no one can fuck with you in a manner of
Right.
speaking. Pardon my language. But yeah, and that's the thing. We're in the time of self mastery. Once you know
Mm.
thyself, that's it. So what I would tell someone is be consistent, show up for yourself, do the work because nothing that's worth having comes easy.
Right.
You're gonna have mishaps, you're gonna have slips and falls, but continue to trust the journey, especially if it's something that you feel the passion to the degree of like a fire burning inside of
Mm.
you. If you feel like, yo, this is my call and like this is why I'm here, no one can tell me nothing, no one can tell me otherwise. I'm 10 toes with this. I'm like a bonsai tree, yo, like I'm not moving.
Yes.
You feel me? Like, yo, accept it and just move, just go all the way. If you could go all the way and then some if you can. You feel me? For real. Like if you feel like, oh, this is why I'm here and no one can tell you otherwise, like you feel like absolutely your mind, body, heart, soul, that's it. Just go
Well,
for it.
yo, straight. I love how King Blue's city energy coming out like, yo, my bro, like, yo, son,
Right.
my guy, my G, son, I'm out there,
Yo,
like,
I just
go
came
hard.
from the
Well,
city. You feel
I'm
me?
with you. You
I
tell
got
the
that
whole
city
nigga,
energy
go
on
hard,
me.
son, go hard, G. Yo,
Mhm.
but yo, for me, what I
Dog.
would tell someone who wants to be a spiritual revolutionary, I would say, be careful because you just became dangerous. You know what I mean?
You just
Your
became
willingness
dangerous.
to revolutionize against that system just made you dangerous. So realize that you will go through trials, you will go through tests. Realize that once you actually get to a certain level of being a spiritual revolutionary, that you will have very adept manifestative power. So be very intentional about your intention and about your intention, because you will manifest whatever you put your attention and intention into. And if it's coming from your lower inclinations, then the quality of that manifestation coming into your life will put you in a situation or trial or challenge that won't be a very enjoyable experience for you. And so, when people say, I never say, be careful for what you wish for. I don't think that's the correct phrase to say. Just be conscious of what you wish for, because you will get it. That's what I would say to a spiritual revolution. Because you get to a certain level of your manifestative powers where joints just, for example, if you, let's say, let's say you had a situation where you were about to steal something, right? And you were looking at it, you were like, bro, I don't feel like paying for this, man. Like nobody looking, bro. I'm about to straight get to my back. I'm about to straight jug this, bro. Like that's what we said in Atlanta. I'm about, bro, shit about to be straight
Jug, right?
I'm about to do this. But then you say, you know what? No. I gotta be the example. No. I'm gonna pay for this as a poverty mindset. Like that is wrong. Abundance mindset. No, I'm gonna pay for this, right?
Right.
You pay for it, and then you lose what you just paid for in an hour. Because you are so powerful, you are on such a high frequency that you even sending that jug energy to whatever you had, even though you paid for it, you were on such a high frequency that karma still came back to you within an hour. That's how strong your manifestative powers is. You got to be very careful with your intention, brother.
All your fault.
From experience,
Speak it, brother.
Always
Speak
your
it.
fault.
you gotta be careful, bro.
Speak
Your
it, brother.
manifestative powers are extremely powerful right now, So don't be careful for what you wish for. Be conscious for
Be
what you wish
conscious
for.
of what you wish for.
As a spiritual revolution, and coming into it. So
Powerful.
thank you for tuning into this frequency. Thank you for listening to this perception perspective. Hope that the value that we gave, the stories that we gave, and the information and knowledge that we gave will definitely help you within your experience, help you navigate your spiritual awakening, and you becoming a spiritual revolutionary as well.
Yes.
So we'll sign out. Roll call.
Where's Akasha? We got to get Akasha out.
Yeah. Let us hear Akasha. Strum Akasha.
This City Sultan. Bless.
City salute.
City salute.